Yesterday, the Rays and Cubs battled back and forth until Kevin Kiermaier's RBI single in the 10th put the Rays ahead for good. Today, right-hander Jake Odorizzi goes to the hill looking for a bounce-back performance. For the second straight day, we welcome you to the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. Another day of baseball in the sun from Wrigley Field. Game 2 between the Rays and the Chicago Cubs. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an afternoon of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Good to have you looking in. Rays winners in yesterday's game. In fact, they have played great baseball since the early part of June. And since the end of June, Ben Zobrist has been swinging a very hot bat. He continued that in yesterday's victory here at Wrigley Field.
Is there a hotter hitter in all of baseball? I mean, if there is, please let me know, because I can't find one that's as hot as Ben Zobrist from both sides of the plate. If you go over the last couple of weeks worth of games, 13 games, a 442 average, 500 on base. You can see he's been productive, driving in runs, scoring runs, and getting it done from both sides of the plate. That left-handed stroke has really come around. He's hitting 368 from the left side over this span. From the right side, he continues to stay red hot, hitting 643 in his last 13 games, but that's nothing new because Ben is hitting 385 from that right side. That is good enough for third in Major League Baseball. He'll look to keep it going this afternoon against the right-hander Edwin Jackson.
Another gorgeous day here. The temperature will be in the 70s, clear skies, and a look at the flag in center field. The wind is blowing in. Rays baseball against the Cubs coming up. Rays have won 2 and lost 2 on this road trip. This is the middle stop here in Chicago. Afternoon game tomorrow as well. And then the Rays will move their road trip into Arlington, Texas. But a victory yesterday, 4-3. And baseball at Clark and Addison this afternoon between the Rays and the Cubs. Let's take a look at the starting lineups presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Desmond Jennings will lead off, then Ben Zobrist and James Loney. Loney up in the 3rd spot against Edwin Jackson. Evan Longoria cleanup, then Matt Joyce, followed by Yunel Escobar. Jose Molina will catch at 7th. Jay Odorizzi, the pitcher, again hitting 8th in these interleague games, with Kevin Kiermaier in right field batting 9th.
Now let's take the numbers here on Edwin Jackson. Making his 24th start of the season, and it has not been an easy one for Edwin. As you can see, just a 6-11 record, ERA of 5.66. He did pick up that 6th win his last time out, going 6 innings against the Dodgers in Los Angeles, giving up 2 earned runs in picking up that win. The key for him in that ball game, and really the key for him in all of his starts, he did not walk anybody. And if Edwin Jackson shows command of the zone with his stuff, he can be very, very good. If not, the Rays should get plenty of opportunities. Let's take a look at the Chicago Cub defense as it lines up behind Edwin this afternoon. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, Chris Coghlan, Arismendi Alcantara, and Justin Ruggiano. Across the infield, 3rd to 1st, Luis Valbuena, Starlin Castro, Javier Baez, and Anthony Rizzo. Wellington Castillo will be behind the plate.
Ricky Renteria, the manager of the Chicago Cubs, directing this young squad in his first year. This team has won 7 of its last 11, 49 and 65 overall for Renteria. And the Rays set to face an old teammate, Edwin Jackson. Jackson last year 8-18, 6-11 this year, and here's Desmond Jennings stepping in to lead off against the hard-throwing right-hander. First pitch is a fastball down. 1 ball, no strikes.
Oh, and what has been most disappointing for not only Edwin Jackson but for the Cubs organization was those numbers started right after he signed a 4-year contract extension for pretty good money. And so what they've had to show for that is, like you said, 8-18. You're 14-29 since signing that big deal.
First pitch presented by Pinch a Penny. The second pitch a ball. So the count is 1-1. Desmond shoots it into center. Alcantara is there just as he hits the track. 1 gone. Desmond, who homered yesterday, hit the ball well, but it's out, number 1. Now the red-hot Ben Zobrist makes his way to the plate. Well, the cold hard facts brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. There's where Zobrist stacks up against all the hot hitters since July 25th in the major leagues. Tops in the American League, 3rd overall in the majors. Zobrist takes a strike.
You see how quick the truck is? You ask for it in the open. If there is anybody, could you please let me know? And guess what? They let us know.
They are highly paid, dedicated professionals. And so there you go. We've come to expect that. A 1-strike count to Zobrist. Pitch in. It's 1-1. 74 degrees here with the breeze now blowing straight in from center field.
When we saw how that affected the ball game yesterday, when you think about that shot by Anthony Rizzo in the bottom of the 1st inning. And that ball looked to be, in fact, Joe Madden said when it left the bat, he thought it was going to be out of the stadium. And that ball ended up hitting off the ivy about 2/3 of the way up the wall in right center field. Did not even go for a home run. So you can see what kind of effect that wind can have.
Chopped to first. Rizzo makes the play unassisted. 2 up, 2 down against Edwin Jackson. Well, you're right about Edwin Jackson. Here's a guy, as we mentioned, an 18-game loser last year. And as much as he battles the opposition, he battles himself with command. Great arm, and when he can command his pitches, the Rays, even when he couldn't command his pitches, he's hard to hit. Through that no-hitter against the Rays, what was that, 4 years ago?
Yep. 2010.
And he walked 8 men in that one and hit a man. Made 149 pitches in that game. There's ball 1 to James Loney. Now here's a guy, James Loney, who when Jackson is in the strike zone does very well. Loney is 7 of 14 lifetime against Edwin Jackson.
And that really doesn't surprise you. You don't even need to see those at-bats to know that that doesn't surprise you, because Edwin Jackson is going to stay primarily fastball slider. Those are his 2 big pitches. Very similar, obviously, to what Chris Archer features for the Rays. And with his style of pitching, from behind in the count quite a bit. James Loney, good strike zone discipline. A lot of counts in his favor, probably pitches out over the plate. Absolutely fits.
He takes a big rip at that pitch and fouls it back. 1-2.
Edwin Jackson, one of those guys that you watch him throw on the side, read the radar gun, watch the break on the slider. It's so enticing, but he just has yet, and he's had a pretty thick big league career up to this point, has not been able to harness that command. That has been an issue for him his entire career.
He'll be 31 in early September.
And got an early start, because you look at his career numbers and the number of years in the big leagues, he has a lot of time under his belt.
Well traveled, as you can see there. Here with the Cubs, most recently with the Nationals. Before that, chopper to short. Castro plays this one to first. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Edwin Jackson. Bottom of the first coming up, no score. People throughout baseball, certainly in Tampa Bay and here in Chicago as well, where Zim not only was a third base coach, but the manager from 88 through 91 and presided over the division winning Cubs in 1989 here. Zim truly loved by all. We go to the bottom of the first. Let's take a quick look at the Chicago starting lineup. This presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Chris Coughlin again leads off. Javier Baez will hit second. Anthony Rizzo third. Starlin Castro cleanup. Luis Valbuena is at third. Alcantara Arismendi Alcantara in center field. Justin Ruggiano, the former Ray, in right. Wellington Castillo behind the plate. Edwin Jackson batting ninth.
Well, taking the mound this afternoon for the Tampa Bay Rays, right-hander Jake Odorizzi looking to get things rolling once again. He struggled his last time out against the Angels. He gave up 5 earned runs in 3 innings and picking up that 9th loss. But before that, had been on quite the run since early June. 9 starts, 5-2 record, 2.25 earned run average.
First pitch is in there, a strike call to Coghlan. A lot of these hitters have faced Odorizzi, but Coghlan is one of them. He's 2 for 3 in his career against Jake, and now down in the count 0-2, fouling away a fastball.
Already, Jake Odorizzi coming out much more aggressive than he did his last start. His last start kind of resembled the first few starts of the year for Jake, where he really never established anything and got into trouble early.
We saw him use all of his pitches early as if he was out there searching for something that might work for him. Zobrist takes care of Coghlan. 1 away.
Let's take a look at the Tampa Bay defense as it lines up behind Jake this afternoon. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, Matt Joyce, Desmond Jennings, and Kevin Kiermaier. Across the infield, third to first, Evan Longoria, Yunel Escobar, Ben Zobrist, and James Loney. Jose Molina will be behind the plate.
Well, the prize rookie Javier Baez. Pitches away, 1 ball, no strikes. Baez singled at a broken bat base hit and a run scored in the first inning yesterday for the Cubs, and then struck out 4 times. He is a big swinger up there at the plate.
And that's exactly why Jake has started him with back-to-back changeups, both of them dipping out of the zone, and he's fallen behind 2-0.
Finds the zone with a fastball. 2-1.
That's where a guy's swing and reputation can affect the way that you're going to start him off right from the beginning. And most of the time, Jake wants to establish that fastball to the corner.
It's going to be down. He lays off. It's 3-1.
And unlike him, 2-1. That ball dipping and borderline pitch.
That's a strike. Full count. Tom Hallian, the veteran, is calling the balls and strikes. He's the crew chief. Better than 20 years of major league service. Oh, strike 3 call. Hallian rings him up on a fastball.
You may never see that at bat from Javier Baez again. 6 pitches, not 1 swing, and he strikes out.
And Odorizzi made a perfect pitch. A good call by Hallian. Hallian will tend to be a little pitcher friendly, but that was a great pitch right there.
I still can't get over Baez. It's almost like someone bet him. You can't swing this at bat. I mean, he's one of the most aggressive swingers that we've seen. 6 straight takes and back to the dugout.
1-0 the count on Anthony Rizzo. Foul back. 1-1. He's gone from one extreme to the other because of that big swing. As you mentioned, the Rays worked him with a lot of off-speed breaking stuff yesterday and let him swing away. Just the opposite that time up. Pitch in on Rizzo, and it's fouled away. That's something that's, in a sense, easy to do to Rizzo. In another sense, not so easy, because he's right up on top of the plate, so you can get the ball in. But as you mentioned yesterday, part of his hands are over the plate. He's been hit 12 times by pitches.
And you understand that. Look where he's at. On the dish, look where the hands are, right over the inside corner.
Up the right side, that's just foul. Made a bid for an extra base hit.
And Anthony Rizzo's a big power hitter. 25 home runs on the year. He's 3 behind Giancarlo Stanton for the National League lead. already has surpassed the number of home runs he hit last year, which was 23. He did that in 160 games.
Well, he's in the top 10 in on-base percentage and slugging percentage in the National League. Having a great year. Pops it down the right side. Foul ball. That's going to carry into the stands.
You know what he's shown is he's shown the ability to make the adjustment, because he got off to a good start last year. Obviously not a lot of people knew him as he made his way around the league, with the Cubs. And then all of a sudden they start to make adjustments. The batting average starts to plummet. The power and production goes down. And he goes into the offseason, comes back in. He's raised his batting average by almost 50 points over last year.
And he's out on strikes, out in front. Good movement down on the off-speed pitch. 1-2-3, go the Cubs. Afternoon. Well, pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks, he threw that no-hitter against the Rays. We go back to the 25th of June in 2010. 149 pitches, 8 walks. He hit a man and had 6 strikeouts, recording a no-hitter. Longoria bounces it to the shortstop, and Castro throws him out one away.
Have you ever come across a tougher no-hitter to pitch through? I mean, 9 innings, no hits, very impressive. 9 base runners, just as impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, 8 walks and a hit back. Listen, a wild pitch here or there and a couple of fly balls, you sack flies, you could lose that game 4-1.
That's right.
Throw a no-hitter, give up 3-4 runs.
Yeah, not a picturesque performance in the annals of no-hitters. Certainly one of the more unusual no-hitters.
You got to maintain your stamina too when you're pushing 150 pitches in a ball game.
That.
Yeah,
149 in the pitch department. 1 strike to count to Matt Joyce. Well, it's certainly the strangest no-hitter I've seen. There's a soft liner left center, and Joyce is aboard with a base hit. So that breaks up the Edwin Jackson no-hit attempt today, and it comes early. The 5th hitter of the game as a single.
Get that right out of the way. Matt Joyce with a huge hit in yesterday's ball game. And comes up his first at bat today in the starting lineup. Shoots one the other way, and he's done a better job of that this year, hitting the ball to the left side, whether it's on the ground or in the air like that.
Well, Escobar has been no hit by Edwin Jackson throughout his career. Escobar 0 for 9 against Edwin. Strike the count to the Rays shortstop.
A lot of information can be gleaned when you start to look at your past at-bats against a certain hitter and the hitter getting information from you. I mean, if a guy's 0 for 9 off you, you're not going to probably change your approach to him.
Runner takes off, pitch is down, and the throw is in plenty of time. Alan Porter on the call, and Joyce caught at second base.
Yeah, and that one was really not close at all. Matt Joyce got hung up a little bit out there between first and second on the slide. Chicago Cubs have been run upon at will this year. And look how he just kind of stops. They had really watered this infield down before the game, and you can still see the different shades of dirt. It was like he dove into a mud pit.
Well, 13 steals with Jackson on the mound, 3 caught stealings coming in to this game, and there's another one.
That's one way to slow a running game down, make it a slow track.
Mm-hmm.
You can play those kind of shenanigans when you're at home. The baselines have dried out. In between, not so much.
That's a strike on the corner. 2 outs, bases empty. 2-2 the count. Hopper toward the right field line. Ruggiano, foul ball. That's tough. When you get over into foul territory, and the wind again affects even a pop foul like that. Kept blowing it toward the bullpen bench and toward the stands.
Yeah, and you've got bodies over there, and you've got a cement wall to navigate. All the while, a ball that's being pushed by the wind. Good luck with all of that.
This beautiful setting, but that wind, and you can see the pennants flying in center field with the American flag atop the pole there. If you're pitching, that's a very good sight. If you're a hitter or a defender, it's something to be concerned about.
We talked about it yesterday. That's why any ball in the air, even though it's a gorgeous day, communication is key. Guys have to be yelling to one another, pointing. You need all the help that you can get. And don't give up on a shot hit to the outfield.
Lifted into left. Coughlin makes the catch. The Rays are out in the second. 2 1/2 innings, no score.
As Jake Odorizzi on the mound for the Rays. Highland, Illinois, not as close to Chicago as St. Louis, but here are his thoughts about pitching in Wrigley this afternoon.
More facts because you get to hit again, but yeah, I mean, Wrigley's pretty special, and I've been here one time prior to today and watched the game, never played here, so it'll be fun to play here and just say you played here because we don't come here all that often.
Jake said when he was here as a teenager, he bought a ticket outside. The guy showed him the section. What he didn't tell him was he had an obstructed view. He found that out when he got to his seat. Guys, back to you.
I've done that. I have done that.
Really?
Oh, I've bought
How about
a ticket online for a big football game.
Yeah.
I won't say where, but same thing. Sat right behind. Great. Looked good on the map.
the foul ball by Starter Castro, strike one. In Jake's case, he's driving 4 or 5 hours up from Highland, Illinois, which is in southern Illinois, all the way to sit right there.
Oh, I can empathize. I think I had traveled, I think when you do the math, probably 5 or 6 states.
Yeah, you have seat number 103.
Yeah.
It's really a good deal.
I'll tell you what, you get stretched out, taking different angles, trying to get your head around that pole.
It's a ball and 2 strike count. Out of play. Castro hitting .278, 12 home runs. On the All-Star team again this year in the National League. So he's got a running start on a couple of outstanding shortstops who were repeatedly members of the All-Star team while playing for the Cubs. Ernie Banks and Don Kessinger. Castro out on strikes this time.
Well, imagine that. The Rays reigning strikeout king right now as far as strikeouts per 9 innings. Has struck out the last 3 hitters that he has faced, and he's done it by changing speeds, and I think that's what you're going to see the rest of this ball game into tomorrow with Alex Cobb against this very young, aggressive lineup.
And the first pitch cut on and missed by Luis Valbuena. So this is exactly what you're talking about, our Toyota trend. Odorizzi 10.03 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Well, it's the ability to play a slow curve off of an elevated fastball on top of an ever-improving changeup. Jake Odorizzi puts himself in good counts, and he's able to finish hitters off, as you can see by that graphic. Those are some big-time strikeout names with a pretty good body of work.
Well, he has 2 weapons there. He does get a lot of strikes up in the zone, and sometimes a little above the strike zone. And then he's got that changeup, and the bottom can fall out of that pitch as well. So he's got 2 things working for him there: the change of speed and movement down.
And that pitch has become more consistent. I mean, early on, a pitch that he really learned in spring training, working, with the Alex Cobb idea of a changeup, splitting those fingers. And you would expect there's to be some growing pains with that pitch, and there certainly was.
And he takes care of Valbuena. Another strikeout back to back. That's 4 in a row now. The last 2 in the first and the first 2 in the second.
And I think at least 3 of them have been on the changeup. The one strikeout looking on the fastball to Baez, but that was an inconsistent pitch for him early on. But the more you throw it, the more you use it, the better it'll get, the more confidence you have in it. And we're seeing that play itself out now. Because he has been really, the last couple of months, Jake Odorizzi has been rock solid.
And the first pitch strike to Alcantara. Well, the changeup has been such a major part of the Rays pitching success story over the last half-dozen seasons. 0-2, a couple of strikes here. That one on a fastball. And we can see certainly the advantage of that changeup for Odorizzi. Alex Cobb, another one. Cut and a miss. He takes care of Alcantara and strikes out the side. 1-2-3. Starlin Castro missed the changeup to start the inning. Buena out on the change, and here's Alcantara cutting the mess. Jose Molina preparing to lead off the inning. Jake Odorizzi, the Rays pitcher, is hitting eighth, so he'll be next. Molina takes the ball. Molina 3 for 12 in his career against Jackson, hitting 194 this year overall. It's 1-1.
He keeps making that push to get up over 200, then it'll go back a few steps, and then another long push.
Two and one the count. Two and two. He's had a base runner in the second. Matt Joyce had a base hit and was caught stealing. The Rays have played so well since they hit that skid when they dropped 14 to 15. Since June the 11th, they've gone 34 and 17. The only problem is Baltimore has gone 34 and 18.
How about that?
In that stretch. Well, close to Molina there. He's already shaved once this morning, so the count is full, 3 and 2. Well, that's the problem, you know, when you struggle the way the Rays did early and trying to play catch up, and Baltimore has played so well. Molina draws the walk.
And that's a bad walk. Those are the things that hurt Edwin Jackson. You got Jose Molina, you know, hitting seventh, batting average of 194. The pitcher's behind him, and you lose him, and you lose him badly. Those are the things that have continued to plague Edwin Jackson, gives opposing offenses opportunities, and that's what the Rays have right here. If Odorizzi can get this bunt down, and no reason to think that he can't.
Yeah, and it plays right into Joe Maddon's strategy of having the pitcher hit eighth, as it turns out. Odorizzi has shown himself to be a pretty good bunter up there. Shows it early and pulls the bat back, and that's a strike. We saw the Cubs yesterday commit very early on the bunt play, and that time Odorizzi pulled the bat back
to see what they were going to run defensively. Because here's the thing, if I'm the Chicago Cubs right now with Jose Molina on first, I'm going to play it aggressively too and try to get him at second base. And they're not even going to have Odorizzi bunt for that exact fear. I mean, you look down there, Valbuena was headed down his throat. Rizzo was going to start coming. So now you just let this play out and don't even bunt, because with the slow track and Molina.
And Odorizzi is out on strikes. Fans, follow every Rays game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit RaysBaseball.com today.
You know, that really hurts what you're able to do offensively. You know, that a perfect situation, a walk to a hitter with the pitcher coming up, nobody out, and you can't even bunt him for fear of a force out or a potential double play.
And there's a pitch in the dirt blocked by Castillo, 1-0. Well, you're right about that. You know, you go over to the National League and you give up the DH to have the pitcher in the lineup. And as an offensive player goes, there are limited dimensions even when Molina is aboard.
It limits you further.
Yeah.
You know, usually in that situation, you'll be limited because the pitcher's up, but he can bunch you over. Joe Maddon not even willing to try that because of what the potential, end result would be. And so you just basically say, well, thanks for walking Molina. Okay, we'll take a strikeout here and move on to Kiermaier.
Yeah, because you want to stay away from the double play. You got a guy in Kiermaier might pop the ball out of the ballpark. So you want to keep that runner on, even though you can't get him into scoring position. Three balls, no strikes. Kiermaier came up with another big hit yesterday. He entered the game as a pinch hitter in the 8th and singled home what turned out to be the deciding run in the 10th inning. And a strike.
You know, the other thing where you're at a disadvantage coming from the American League team is the Cubs are going to play you aggressively. We talked about it yesterday, what your options are as a pitcher. Seen it utilized many times to square around and bunt. If they want to go ahead and try to take away that lead man, you pull that bat back and just play pepper with the middle of the field, and more times than not, it's a hit.
Hopper short center. Alcantara coming on, and he made the catch. Sliding grab with the glove on the grass, and he made the catch to retire Kiermaier.
Well, the wind going to be pushing that ball a little bit back towards the infield, and Alcantara is a very good athlete out there in center field, as you can see by the ground he covered and the play that he made.
Two outs with Molina still at first. Here's Desmond Jennings. Strike on the outer part of the plate. That pop fly into center with the wind. Another example of how it affects defenders here. It can be an advantage to a pitcher, but unless the defenders are heads up, it can wreak havoc. Jennings hit a fly ball to center his first time. 2-1. You know, there's so many different elements to the game here because of the ballpark. And the weather has almost everything to do with that. Whether it's hot here or cold, whether it's windy or still, and if you have the wind, is it in or is it out? Well, you're trying to factor how you approach the game, and that's what we see more and more, quantifying the game more than anyone ever thought that it could be with the metrics and all that. You almost have to have, I would think, like a wild card or a chaos factor when you're trying to analyze a game at Wrigley Field because of all of the unpredictable elements.
Well, just the way that you're going to manage the game based on the wind.
Yep.
Wind's blowing out, maybe you let a guy swing away. Wind blowing in, you're going to play small ball, go for those runs. It's not going to be a slugfest. All of that can change from day to day.
Yep.
Sometimes in the middle of the game.
That's right.
You may open up the playbook a little bit.
Yeah, a manager will tailor his lineup not only against the pitcher you're opposing, but the weather conditions that day and the wind. And that can all change. There's a high fly ball back into left center. Alcantara just to the track, and he makes the catch. Walk and a man left. It's a gorgeous day along the lakefront here. No score, middle of 3. Sports brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Checkers, big Philly flavors, small price. Checkers Philly cheesesteak and the new Chicken Philly, each just $1.99. And by Bert Smith Volkswagen, Tampa Bay's home of driving excitement. Visit BertSmithVW.com. Gorgeous view here of the lakefront in Chicago. And more Rays fans in evidence here at Wrigley Field.
That has been the talk of the first 2 days here.
Sure has. And it's been a great development. Here's Justin Ruggiano, and he swings, has himself a base hit. And the off-speed pitch, Ruggiano hits a soft liner through into left. Odorizzi had fanned 5 in a row before that soft single.
Now you can expect Wellington Castillo here to be aggressive with the pitcher behind him and a leadoff man aboard. He is going to be ready to swing the bat, as most of the hitters in this Cubs lineup are anyway.
Castillo batting .237, 8 home runs. Which is low. Ball, no strikes. Rays started the day 10 games back of Baltimore in the East. And the Orioles have just scored 3 in the bottom of the second, take a 3-2 lead on the Cardinals. That after the Orioles beat St. Louis 12-2 in their game yesterday. 1-1 in the wild card race now. See the Angels atop that, and Kansas City in the second spot. So at the moment the Rays chasing Kansas City for the second wild card spot.
Yeah, and 5.5 games back, not the issue. The issue is how many teams are in front of you. How about 4 teams within 1 game of that second wild card? That's where the challenge will lie, and that's why it's imperative that the Rays, when they had fallen 18 games under 500, they ripped off a string of now 31, 32 now in 17.
Yep.
And we were talking about that yesterday. 31 and 17. And if
can they do it again? That was the question.
That was the question. Can they do it again? If they did it again, that would get them to 86 wins.
They've done that before.
Go back to game 162.
Yep.
When they were 9.5 games back with 48 to go, what was their record finishing it out? 31 and 17. It continues to pop up. And they may have to play even a little bit better than that going down the stretch this time around.
So the Rays now trying to go 30 and 17 from this point forward, which would give them 86 wins. Well, even if they do that, is it enough now?
That's right. That's right. And I think that's why, as much as we're able to look big picture and extrapolate numbers, come to a final, guess here and there, Joe Madden is like, we've got to continue to play as well as we have, but we have to do it 1 game at a time, and then do that for a couple of days, then look to win that series, and then move on from there.
Well, they're playing, as you so often hear, runner goes, pitch foul back, and the count still going to be 1-2. You so often hear, well, you play the schedule 1 game at a time, and that's really what Joe Madden is doing, that in a souped-up style of play, 1 game at a time. And he said that for more than a month now. He's played September style baseball, where every move is based on what can we do to win today. And even if you do that, is it going to be enough? We can take a big picture view, but they have to take a view of what's going on each and every day. Into center. That's the first out as Jennings makes the catch. But the point is, they have finished that way before. And now the other question is, they could even take care of their business maybe inside the East, and they have a lot of business opportunities inside the AL East. But you've got a couple other teams outside the division. See how they do, and they're going to factor in the wild card race as well. Here's Edwin Jackson, and don't forget now, Jackson started his career, signed as an outfielder, became a converted pitcher. Fouls this one back for a strike. He does have 4 sacrifice bunts this year, and is hitting a little over 160. And his career average is 168.
You mentioned the conversion from outfield to pitcher. Edwin's a good athlete. We know that.
The runner is Ruggiano. He doesn't do a lot of running. He is 2 of 5 in that department. Jackson showing bunt, trying to get him over.
As a team, this Cubs lineup does not run a lot. The majority of their stolen bases have come from Emilio Bonifacio.
And the strike, 0-2. And Bonifacio dealt away.
was going to say, he's not much of a threat today to the Rays.
The spark plug here with the Cubs, Emilio Bonifacio.
He's more of a threat to us than he is to the Rays team down on the field. So far, so good.
Oh, 2. He's going to bunt, and he fouls it. So he's out on strikes on the bunt attempt. So the sacrifice attempt does not bear fruit. Jackson, strikeout number 6 for Odorizzi.
Boy, and it's difficult to get a bunt down when you're going up there above the letters, or above the emblem, as it were, with Edwin Jackson. To try to get a ball down from up there, very difficult.
Chris Coughlin, the top of the order. Coughlin grounded out to Zobrist, his first time. Shoots it foul into the seats.
Goodness. I mean, it's amazing. The balls that get rifled into the stands, you just hope that everybody's all right, because there is very little time to react, especially if you're not locked in and paying attention to the action on the field.
On to Coughlin. Luciano opened with a base hit, still at first with 2 gone. Here's the other thing about the Rays and the run they've been on. They're 17-4 on the road since the middle of June. 17-4.
That's absurd. I mean, it really is.
It's amazing. Coughlin out in front, 0-2, and you think about that. We talked a little bit about this before the game. What a shame that this team struggled the way it did early. And I think for the last month and a half, and maybe a little bit before that, if you had to pick the division now, a lot of people would pick this club again.
Yeah, I would.
Yep.
You know, I mean, with what Baltimore's done, very impressive. The Rays have been right there with them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, those are the 2 teams playing the best baseball in the East, but that is a shame, that early season struggle.
And the cut to miss. Coughlin out on strikes. Fastball got him. 7 strikeouts for Odorizzi. Rays fans here. The game today and all season long. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run, televised on Sun Sports. Desmond Jennings contributed to the cause yesterday with his 10th home run of the year.
When you get the feeling if you're going to hit one today, you're going to have to hit it like Desmond Jennings did, a liner that just cuts through that wind. Unless, of course, the conditions change.
And Zobrist takes a pitch too low. Edwin Jackson has given up 15 home runs this year. 23 starts. This number 24 for Edwin. Edwin spent that time with the Rays, and in 08, the special season for the Rays, he won 14 games. 14-11 in 2008 for the Rays in 31 starts. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Good off-speed delivery there by Edwin Jackson. As we talked earlier, mostly fastball slider. That right there, the changeup. And that's where, Dwayne, that's where you really thought he was going to take off. 14 wins in 2008, really on the cusp of doing something special because of what he features as far as stuff goes. It's not quite happening.
There's a shot deep into right. Ruggiano going back, and he has room. Off his glove, however. Off his glove, and it goes into the vines. Meanwhile, Zobrist will continue to run, and he will circle the bases. Zobrist circles the bases here. Ruggiano got his glove on the ball, and Joe Madden wants to talk this one over. It's one thing if the ball goes into the vines and the player can't find it, but he made contact with that ball, could not hold it, and off his glove into the ivy. And Madden talking right now with Tom Halley and the crew chief. We'll take another look.
Right off the thumb. This is the whole reason why you never give up on a shot fly ball here. And that ball then bounds into the ivy. Ruggiano takes a look at it, doesn't see it, and raises the arms.
Zobrist does the right thing. He circles the bases. And the initial call here is a double. But Madden will put up, and you can see Zobrist circling the bases, but Madden making the point that, wait a minute, the player might have something to do with that ball going into the vines because he made contact with it.
Have they even found the ball yet? Is it still stuck out there?
It's still out there. And it's going to go as a double. Well, those vines have been causing that kind of confusion since 1937 when they put them in. And the Rays feel they may have gotten shortchanged by that ground rule right there. Leadoff double by Ben Zobrist. James Loney. Loney with a chance to put the Rays on top. Shot into right center field. That will be caught by Alcantara. Diving catch. A tag by Zobrist, and he advances to third. What a grab by Alcantara. Ball hung up there, gave him a little extra time, and he took advantage of it.
And how about Justin Ruggiano peeling off at the last minute to avoid what could have been an awful collision out there in right center? They're seemingly on this ball going at it as it splits them, and Ruggiano pulls off. Alcantara makes the dive, and a heck of a play. Tell you what, we have seen him covering ground all over the place. Left center, shallow.
Well, the Cubs going to appeal that perhaps Zobrist left too soon. If that had gone against the Rays, you would have seen quite an eruption. But he hung around long enough. He's now at third with one out. Longoria's the hitter, and the Cubs pull the infield up.
This has something to do with that wind and the way that the pitchers are throwing. You're going to play for that, cut down that one run, or try to at least right here, because of how important it is.
Yeah, runs can be precious on a day with the wind blowing in. There's a liner headed toward the corner. Fair ball into left. Zobrist scores. Longoria is on his way to second, and the Rays take the lead. 19th double for Evan Longoria, and it's a 1-0 ball game.
Well, Zobrist got a mistake, hit a ball hard out into right field. Nice shot by Loney, a great play by Alcantara, and then a hanger right here. And Evan jumps all over it and slams this ball down into the corner, gives the Rays the lead, and puts himself out into scoring position.
The 59th run batted in for Evan Longoria. Zobrist continues his hot hitting. The leadoff double. Here's Matt Joyce. Pitch inside. Ball, no strikes. Joyce has a chance to pick up a run batted in. A 1-1 strike. Big cut right there.
Well, fooled 2 times there by the slider of Edwin Jackson, and impressive that he was able to get that ball in there for a strike as he slipped his landing foot as he came down, still able to execute the pitch, and that puts him in control of the count here at 1-2.
Balls, 2 strikes. You know, talking about that ground rule double on Zobrist, so far as we know, the ground rules here at Wrigley Field speak generally about a fair ball that enters the vines on that bleacher wall. It just is 2 bases. Strike called, and Joyce caught looking for the second out. And no mention about whether a fielder makes contact with the ball, whether it's in his glove and out, or off the glove, or off his hand. Just a little batted ball that disappears into the vines is 2 bases. But you could see the point that Matten was trying to make, because Ruggiano did make contact with that ball out there before it headed into the bleachers.
Yeah,
into the vines along that bleacher wall. Escobar, big cut and a foul ball, strike 1.
And I think that that's where the judgment of the umpire comes in. We saw Gibson run all the way out there into right field to see if he had a shot at where the ball was, because you figure the ball off the glove of Ruggiano, a normal wall, it's going to fall down, he's going to turn around, pick it up, and throw it in. Maybe Zobrist gets a triple.
Yeah.
You know, he could get a triple out of that, no question about it. But you leave that judgment up to the umpire. Off the glove into the ivy. Is it stuck in there? Well, then there's your 2 bases.
Well, I think there's a situation, that thought did occur to me, that it could have been a triple.
Yep.
The ground rule says 2 bases. So the question would be posed to the umpire, are you bound by that ground rule to award only 2 bases on a situation where if they had to place the runners, they could have thought about placing them at third? And then to further complicate it, it didn't go directly into the vines. It went there by way of Ruggiano.
So is he penalized 90 feet?
Yeah. There's a liner into right. Going to fall for a base hit. Longoria heads to the plate, and the Rays add another run.
You know what? It was almost as if Justin Ruggiano did not realize there was a runner on second base. He did not make an attempt to make a play on that and try to cut down Longoria coming to the plate, and he had a chance to do it. He fielded that ball flat-footed, realized that Longoria was headed home, and then tried to throw it in, but had no idea. Watch this. He's playing that like just a base hit. Uh-oh, there's a guy out there.
Yeah, and you could see at the last moment, I think it occurred to him, wait a minute, there's a guy going to score. Too late then.
Yep.
Rays have a 2-0 lead. Ground ball to first off Molina's bat. Rizzo makes the play unassisted. The Rays come up with 2 runs in the inning on 3 hits and leave a man. Double by Zobrist, a 2-base hit by Longoria sends him home. Then the base hit by Escobar produces another run. Hallian and Joe Madden about that interesting top of the 4th inning and the ball that wound up in the vines and the ivy off the glove of Ruggiano on what turned out to be a double by Zobrist. He came close to catching it, couldn't hold it.
And I think the crux of the discussion is this. I think it's pretty cut and dry. If that ball one hops into the ivy and sticks there, what the call is. Ground rule double. I get it. The ball off Ruggiano. The player causing the ball to not be caught, bounce into the ivy. That, I think, is the crux of the issue that Joe Madden has with that call.
Yeah, so that's the question. And it really, from what we've seen of the ground rule, doesn't mention that particular situation. It's just if a batted ball winds up in the vines, it's 2 bases. Well, maybe they'll clarify that in the future.
Yeah, because I mean, with it being vague like that, obviously it gives the umpire latitude in his judgment to make a call.
Yeah, it gives him latitude to have latitude or not have latitude because it says 2 bases. Ball in the vine, 2 bases. Depends on whether you're a strict constructionist or not.
Well, and think about this. Think about if a ball was hit in a gap like that and Ruggiano dives and it ticks off the glove and goes into the ivy, where clearly it would have been a triple, maybe an inside the park home run, but you're stuck giving him a double because even though he's sprawled out on the ground after making a dive and the ball's in the ivy.
There's the first swing of the day by Javier Baez. He took the first 2 pitches to go 1-1. didn't swing at all in the first inning. And a mighty cut to go 1-2 here.
He lost a bet.
This one is fouled back. So a couple of big cuts finally.
Now that is his game. He's an aggressive hitter. He's got a huge swing. And where that can play into a pitcher's hand is he has both of those things, but not a whole lot of strike zone discipline. So you can really exploit that swing.
And another big cut and another strikeout for Odorizzi. Fastball strikes out Baez.
That'll be the challenge for Baez. It won't be too long until opposing pitchers figure that out. You can kick up the rosin bag and he's going to take a swing at it. And when you fastball right there up around the shoulders, close to the eyes, another big swing, and this is where he could get himself into some trouble. Now, if you're not executing, you're leaving pitches out over the plate. We know the damage he can do, but still.
Anthony Rizzo against the shifts tries to push that ball to the left side and fouls it into the seats. Strike one.
Boy, and if you're, a member of the Rays, you're on that in the dugout, and Jake Odorizzi, Anthony Rizzo, you're worried about him driving the ball for extra bases. If he wants to do that, boy, oh boy, mission accomplished. You're in his head.
Fly ball lifted into center. Jennings takes care of that. That was that slow breaking ball. Came in around 68. Do a double take at that, and he did with his bat.
He did. That's exactly where that pitch can be so effective. It's not only getting a strike with it, but it's so slow compared to everything else that guys will, kind of give you a knee-jerk reaction, double clutch, awkward swing.
Castro takes the fastball away. 2 strikeouts in the first, 3 in the second, 2 more in the third, now 1 in the fourth. It's a 1-1 count. Missed by much on that one. Fastball, and the count is 2-1. Rizzi behind Castro. 3 balls and 1 strike. Liner into center, falling in for a base hit. Castro picks up the second Chicago hit. 2-out single in the fourth. Get the third baseman Luis Valbuena to the plate.
Fastball down and in. Castro stays inside it. Well, this is a guy who was a hit machine a few years ago, is back to his old tricks. Now second among National League shortstops in average, leads National League shortstops in hits. Adds to it there.
Luis Valbuena. It's a ball popping away from Molina.
Now, and in a game where runs are tough to come by, that's where, as a base runner, you've got to have better anticipation than that. Castro, there's 2 outs. You should have an aggressive secondary lead anyway. And that ball in the dirt away from Molina. Molina's not the most fleet of foot and agile guy. You got to be at second base right now.
A strike on the outside part of the plate. Yeah, with average to above average speed, you've got to make that move.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if you had just average speed, that secondary lead and anticipation, ball in the dirt, bounds away, you're gone. You know that the catcher is not, like I said, he's not the quickest guy in the world. It gets away from him. You got to be at second. Every pitch, every play is important in a low-scoring game. And now you're out there. Now you're thinking, okay, to score Castro, you're going to have to drive one into the gaps. What's more likely to happen, that or a base hit? Valbuena finds a hole, breaks the bat, a bloop, anything you can score from second with 2 outs. A lot tougher from first. And that's been one of the knocks on Castro the last couple of years, is he's a very talented young man, but can lose his focus.
Valbuena, a foul tip strikeout on the fastball right back into Molina's mitt. 9 strikeouts for Odorizzi.
The street across Sheffield Avenue. We are at the Sheffield Baseball Club rooftop pavilion, guys. One of the best places to watch a game if you're not inside Wrigley. There's 2 bachelorette parties here, 2 bachelor parties here. Everybody having a good time. Everybody's getting some sun, enjoying themselves. There's a big group here from the Tampa Bay area. You may recognize some of this group. Bachelor up there, bachelorette party. They're kind of intermingling, which is always a good thing. So we're going to watch some baseball, enjoy the sunshine. I wish I could have a cold one, but I can't, so back to you guys.
All right, thank you. Odorizzi pops it up short left field, and Castro's out there to make the catch. Boy, Todd's having a great day.
Yeah,
and
right.
sage commentary out there when he stresses the positive value of intermingling.
Is he trying to make a love connection out there?
Hey,
set up a
bachelor
booth.
parties, bachelorette parties, intermingling. He says that's always a good thing. From the expert, Todd Callis, on the rooftops.
There are so many ways to go with this.
Todd just losing himself in the bachelorette party crowd. 1 strike to count now on Kiermaier. 1-1. Pops up, left side, handled by the third baseman. Valbuena takes care of Kiermaier's pop up. 2 up, 2 down in the 5th. Top of the order for the Rays, Desmond Jennings. Desmond 0 for 2, a strike to count this time in. Ball, 1 strike. Now the third. That's out number 3. We're through 4 1/2, a 7-pitch inning in the top of the 5th. 2-0 Rays. Dakota Rizzi with 4 innings of work under his belt and 9 strikeouts, allowing just 2 hits. Rays picked up 2 runs in the 4th, keyed on the ground rule double by Zobrist. A 1-out double by Evan Longoria got Ben home. And with 2 outs, Escobar's line singled into right, caught Luciano by surprise and gave Longoria a chance to score to make it 2-0. So we go to the bottom of the 5th. Rizzi back out there on the hill. Rizzi's pitch count in the mid-50s as he works to Alcantara.
Well, what makes that remarkable is mid-50s, just starting the 5th inning, but all the strikeouts. And very efficient when you consider 9 strikeouts already.
And he picks up a strike on the corner to Mindy Alcantara. He's had 1 full count and only 2 3-ball counts on hitters. The bunt is bunted foul. 1-2.
Well, he has gone back to pitching the way that he was prior to his last start, where he had gone on that extended run of quality outings. There was a certain rhythm and rhyme and reason to what he did. Last start, there was really not a whole lot there, and that happens from time to time.
To Popper, will it stay fair and in play? It's a foul ball, out of play.
But today he's going right back to being aggressive early, establishing the fastball and the changeup. Those have been the 2 big ones today. We've seen a handful, if that, of the slow curveball.
Foul up the right side. So it's still 1-2. The Rays have 4 hits. The Cubs have 2. 1-2 the count. Lifted into center field. That's Jennings. Contra is the first out. Now time for you to tweet your photo using #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. First pitch foul out of play by Ruggiano. Fastball from Odorizzi consistently around 90. It'll go 89, 90, 91 at times. Occasionally a tick or two more, but pretty consistently in the area of 90. 1-1. We have seen him in other outings. See right there, up as high as 92 today, 68. That slow curve. It's 1-2 now. And we have seen him on occasion in the 93, 94 region, but not consistently. That's the kind of velocity that Milwaukee, when they had him developing in their system, they would see that 93 and 94 and were excited by that. He's kind of settled in there at 90 or 91. With good command and a good variety of pitches and the ability to utilize them. Popper foul, that will be out of play as well.
I'll tell you what, I will say this. The radar gun readings don't say 93, 94. The swings do.
They do. You're right.
And that's, at the end of the day, the bottom line. And I've never seen a guy with a fastball that's going to hover 89, 91 get more strikeouts and more out of that pitch than Jake Odorizzi does. And so, you know, for whatever reason, and I know that opposing hitters, you know, talking to James Loney down there at first base and the chit-chatting that they do have said, listen, this guy's fastball just jumps on you.
Yeah.
It's on you before you know it.
And that has a lot to do with delivery. He's not going to show you the pitch as early as some other pitchers may.
A lot of guys have arm swings that you can follow. Jake Odorizzi's arm swing out of the glove, you cannot follow. The ball comes out of the glove, it stays behind his body, and you don't see it until release. And that is deceptive.
And now, Giano hit by that pitch. Molina making a little conversation with Tom Hallion about an effort to get out of the way or not.
Or an effort to get hit. It's one thing to just not get out of the way, but watch Ruggiano. Almost leans into it right there. In fact, not almost, did lean into it. Saw a breaking ball, saw it was close enough, and just go ahead and lean. Look at him. Lean right into it. Let it graze you. Take your base. They could have put him right back in the batter's box to be sure.
Wellington Castillo, the catcher. One strike the count. Fouled right back. 0-2. Rays taking game 1 of the series yesterday in 10 innings. It was a 4-3 final. They lead 2-0 today. And another day game tomorrow before moving on to Texas. Runner going on a pitch up and to throw down. Ruggiano runs into an out at second base. Alan Porter on the call. And out comes Renteria. Ruggiano looking into the dugout, claiming he was safe.
He's going to say that Escobar never tagged him. And Renteria is going to have that call. Let's see. This will be the good one. You can't really tell if that.
Well, it appears we will take another look at this play. And I'll tell you, from all of that, it would appear that he got him, but they will review it.
Well, I'll say this, and you can see, well, right there, did it graze his front hip? That would be the best replay right there for the Cubs' claim. But other than that, it certainly doesn't look like he didn't get it. That was the closest that it came to look like maybe he missed that front side, because it was actually the trail leg of Ruggiano that gets in there. Did he make contact right there? That's the question. He gets him up here under the armpit, but at that point the back leg is on the bag. Just don't see the clear and convincing that is what you're going to need.
So Ruggiano seemingly running into a caught stealing at second. But we'll wait for the outcome of the challenge. Meanwhile, Odorizzi stays loose on the mound. Braves got their 2 runs in the 4th inning. Longoria driving home the first one, Escobar driving home the other one.
Can they go retroactive on a call? Can they come back and call him out, and when Renteria goes crazy, say, listen, he leaned into the pitch anyway, he shouldn't have even been on base? Who gets hit by a curveball on purpose?
Well, this is fate taking care of that.
Right. And see, these are the things, Dwayne, these are the things that we're afforded to be able to talk about because of the wonderful instant replay that baseball has instituted.
Well, it gives us opportunities to go where we've never gone before.
Like Todd.
Speaking of that young man, which rooftop is he climbing now? He's been all over the place. In the pregame, he was everywhere except focusing on the field.
Hey, he was open about it yesterday, too.
Yeah.
He said, listen, this will be the first pitch that I've seen today. He's too busy hanging out at pool parties.
Yeah, well, in one manner of speaking, he is focusing on the field, just not the baseball diamond.
He's certainly playing it.
I'll tell you, for this review may take, this challenge may take as long as any we've seen all year to this point. Ruggiano's been in the middle of some interesting developments today. You know, the ground rule double and the Vine out there, the base hit that fell in there, and the run scored. The hit batter, now the call at second. Suddenly Ruggiano the center of attention in this 2-0 game. Odorizzi was moving right along, a low pitch count, working quickly. And suddenly the brakes have been applied. I think we are getting close to a determination. He's out. So after all of that, Ruggiano departs the infield. The call stands. on the caught stealing.
Well, this was Chicago's best argument, but there's no way to tell that Escobar did not graze that front hip on the way in, and that's why it's not confirmed, but yet there's nothing to say that he didn't tag him either.
Four minutes and 10 seconds. That's the longest one. Castillo fouls the 2-2 pitch out of play. Full count. Lifted straight into center field. Jennings will have to turn around and now cut to his left and makes the catch. Boy, his experience as a receiver helped him make that catch. He had to go back, turn around, and then replot his direction. Completed 5. Today's game is brought to you in HD by H.H. Gregg. A beautiful scene here in Chicago and the perfect baseball setting at Wrigley Field. And Rays fans abound. They have been visible throughout the city of Chicago and right here at Wrigley Field. But it makes so much sense, and we've started to see that a lot out of Rays fans. More and more fans making a trip of it to Baltimore, now here to Chicago. And I think that's a trend that makes so much sense. Visiting the major league cities around the country. And the Rays are there. Ben Zobrist will open the 6th. And 1 for 2, a double to open the 4th when the Rays went on to score 2 runs. Pitch outside. Jackson finds a strike. It's 1-1. 2-1.
Ben Zobrist so hot at the plate right now from both sides. Edwin Jackson trying to mix up those pitches, going with a number of off speed, trying to stay away from him. It's 3 straight. 2 of them have missed, and now it's 3-1. And this is what happens. You try to be careful with a guy that's hot. When you're careful, so often you miss. You end up putting yourself in a bad count, and that's what keeps a lot of guys hot. Hitting 3-1.
Well, the count is full. Ben very particular at the plate. A good eye. He's in the top 10 in the American League in walks. Hitting in front of James Loney today.
It's one thing to know what you want. It's another to go up there and stay disciplined through an entire at-bat waiting for it. Or until you get to 2 strikes and you have to protect. It's staying disciplined. And a lot of hitters have a great plan going up to the plate, but it falls apart quickly. Ben Zobrist is able to stay disciplined and stay true to what he's trying to accomplish. Better than most.
2 again. He fouls this one out of play. A couple of foul balls in this at bat, working the count full. Prior to that pitch, he had seen 14 pitches today and had taken 10 of those. He's doubled in the 4th, leading off. Started the 2-run inning. And he checks for ball 4. So nice at bat there for Ben Zobrist against Edwin Jackson. Catch the next wave of bobbleheads with August bobble of the month. Available now at Tropicana Field and the Rays downtown Tampa store. Make sure to add the Surfing Raymond bobblehead to your collection. He made a bid for a base hit his last time on a liner to center, and a good cut at the fastball. Strike 1. If he gets a couple more pitches like that, he might find the bleachers even with the wind blowing in.
Well, he certainly has the power to do that. You see James Loney, when he gets a count in his favor against maybe a pitcher that he's had success off before, like he has with Jackson, he will take his shot if he's able to eliminate pitches.
Zobrist to the backside of the bag.
And you got to be careful, because as much as Edwin Jackson has given up stolen bases, he's also picked 4 guys off. A lot of action with him.
One and one. Loney making a good cut at a fastball at 93.
Yeah, that was another pitch that was out over the plate for Loney to take a good rip at. 2-run lead right now. The way that Jake Odorizzi is throwing the baseball, you feel pretty good about that, but Rays always looking to add on. They've been gifted a leadoff walk here.
And to center. Alcantara. One away. It's Evan Longoria.
Well, he came up big in his last at bat, infield in, took advantage of a first pitch hanging slider and just slammed that ball down into the corner, would then come around and score on a base hit by Escobar, who had had no success off of Edwin Jackson up to that point.
First pitch strike to Longoria. Hey, don't look now over in the Central. The Tigers had a 2-1 game get away from them. The Blue Jays beat them 3-2 in 10 innings. And another toss to first finds Zobrist diving back safely. So the Tigers are now just 2 games ahead of Kansas City in the Central.
Kansas City has been red hot lately, and they send former Ray James Shields to the mound today.
Ground ball, diving stop, Almeida safe at second. The throw down to second, popping away from Baez. So everybody's safe. Longoria at first and Zobrist at second.
Boy, what a play by Valbuena. Scrambles to his feet, looked to at least get the lead runner. A good feed right there, and then Javier Baez looking to try to turn that double play, and the exchange was never made, and that ball was never secured.
And that is a concern with Baez. They're not really sure where he's going to fit in on the infield. Some think third. Even been some conversation about catching, but more or less on the infield. He's at second now. And an error charge with the young infielder. Gets Joyce to the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. So let's see if the Rays can take advantage of the error and the opportunity presented. That was a great stop by Valbuena down at third base on a ball that seemed to be headed for the hole between short and third. One and one. Joyce singled his first time up. He was 3 for 14 in his career against Edwin Jackson. It's 2 balls and a strike.
Matt Joyce is going to look for something that has some elevation to it. This is where you can start to get picky, start to get greedy. You've had a leadoff walk in this inning and then an error.
Joyce up in the count.
Edwin Jackson not throwing poorly, but he's finding himself getting into deeper and deeper trouble in this inning. There's nobody down in the bullpen warming, so this is his to wear.
Joyce and Jackson traded for each other in December of 2008. And Jackson walks him to load the bases. Third walk given up by Edwin Jackson. Joyce on for the second time in the game. Yunel Escobar will be the hitter. And we're going to get a trip to the mound. Chris Bosio, the pitching coach, heads to the mound with the bases loaded and only 1 out. Reminder, Derek Jeter and the rival Yankees are set to return to Tropicana Field Sunday, August 17th. Kids 14 and under get a Mr. Happy bobblehead, courtesy of Trade Winds Island Resorts while supplies last. All part of Family Fun Day presented by the Tampa Bay Times. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. So a prolonged visit on the mound. Fujikawa, the right-hander, will start to loosen. Fujikawa. Cubs used 6 pitchers out of their bullpen in yesterday's game after Wada had given him 6 innings plus. And now here's Escobar. Way high. Escobar picked up his first hit ever off Edwin Jackson in the 4th inning. Snapped an 0 for 10. Got the base hit into right. Chased home a run. Now a chance to assess greater damage. Bases are loaded. Two balls, no strikes.
On these first 2 pitches, after the visit, bases loaded, Edwin Jackson missing badly on both of them. You know, Escobar gets more and more comfortable up there, and the Rays start to feel good about their opportunity here. Tack on, get some extra runs.
Big cut at the fastball, foul back.
Well, you start to think about the way that this Rays team is put together right now. You're in the 6th inning, 2-run lead. If you could get that to 3, 4, anything more than that, moving into the second half of this game, later innings, and what they are able to pull out of the bullpen to slam the door, and the way that Jake Odorizzi is pitching right now. Just got to get it done.
Up the middle, through into center. Zobrist scores. Longoria heads to the plate ahead of the throw. Base hit for Escobar, driving in 2 more runs. It's 4-0 Tampa Bay.
Well, and those are the types of hits in these situations, this point of the game, where you can really start to put a stranglehold on a ball game. The way that the bullpen is set up, the way your starter is throwing, you've just doubled up your lead. You're still looking to add a few more. Nice job by Escobar, counting his favor. Hit that ball hard.
A couple walks and an error, and the Rays come up with their first hit of the inning. Turn it into 2 runs. Jose Molina. Turn and nothing doing back at second. Molina with a walk and a ground ball out. Goes after the first pitch, fouling it out of play. Molina broke into the big leagues with the Cubs back in '99. It's a little tapper. Bueno makes the throw to first. That moves Joyce to third, and Escobar up to second. Two outs in the inning with 2 men in scoring position. Jake Odorizzi. Hamper foul at the feet of Castillo.
Well, right now, Rick Renteria banking on the fact that Edwin Jackson can retire Jake Odorizzi, and if he's able to do that, that will end his afternoon more than likely. His spot in the order scheduled to lead off the bottom of the 6th, and now with a deficit of 4, you can hardly afford the pitcher to hit again.
Odorizzi tries to bunt. No self foul. Right back into the front row. Jake is struck out and popped out and down 0-2. Strike 3 is called. Rays are finished in the 6th inning. But Yunel Escobar drives in 2 more runs with a base hit. And the Rays lead 4-0. Sun Sports is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. By Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with CyberKnife. Available exclusively at Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. And by Wesley Chapel Toyota and Wesley Chapel Honda. Home of the lifetime warranty. I-75 North, exit 279. Jake Odorizzi, 5 innings, 77 pitches, and he has been very good.
He certainly has, and it started early. An aggressive mindset, an aggressive style of pitching. He's run up a huge strikeout number for 5 innings and done so efficiently, moving the fastball around. The fastball changeup combo is what's been getting it done today. We've seen a couple of curveballs at most, not very many sliders either. It has been fastballs down and up, changeups down that have won the day so far for Jake Odorizzi. No walks too. That's always a huge plus. Do not put out any unnecessary base runners.
Ricky Renteria reaching for Ryan Sweeney off his bench to pinch hit for Edwin Jackson. First pitch is a ball. Two and 0. So Jackson Finished after 6 innings, 4 runs, 3 earned. And Sweeney pops up. Zobrist makes the catch. So Odorizzi retires the pinch hitter. It's Chris Coghlan. Coghlan 0 for 2. He's grounded out and struck out. Coghlan takes a look. 1 ball, no strikes. One. Rizzi in 21 pitches in the 5th. Had that delay of over 4 minutes on the challenge and the caught stealing. See right now, Jake, at 82 pitches working here in the 6th. 2 balls and a strike. This one drilled foul up the right side. The souvenir. 2-2 the count. It's a foul ball. Right back over the screen, holding the count at 2-2.
And you know, when Jake Odorizzi can entice hitters to swing at fastballs up where Coghlan did, he can go another inch or 2 above that, see if they'll chase, or he can come back with that changeup down in the zone. You start messing with a hitter's eye level like that, and that's how he's able at times to run up those big strikeout numbers.
Yeah, what a great combination that is. Pitch lifted into left, and Joyce is there to make the catch. 2 outs in the 6th inning. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live. Pre-game shows presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Alex Cobb will do the pitching, and we will hear from Alex Cobb. And Orestes Estrada will break down the talented first baseman Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs. All of that and more. Leading up to first pitch. Big swing by Baez. He didn't get cheated that time. 1 strike. High pop foul. That will be out of play.
Do you see where he's going after these pitches? Javier Baez, a big swing, a lot of talent. But we talked about no strike zone discipline. Look where that pitch was. And when pitchers know that you'll swing up here, this is going to be up right at the letters, up by the shoulders, and a swing that big, you just open yourself up to all sorts of options. You get the changeup, you know, a guy that has a very good slider will down and away. There's just so many ways to go with a guy like Baez. You just have to focus as a pitcher just to stay out of pitches out over the plate, cripple pitches.
Cubs have not had a base runner as far as second in this game. 1-2. Ruggiano opened the 3rd with a base hit. He was left on. Castro singled with 2 outs in the 4th. Left on there. Ruggiano hit by a pitch in the 5th. Caught stealing. Pitch bounces in as Odorizzi caught his foot on that delivery.
And how about the cheers for Jose Molina on the frame job on the pitch that bounces. Get it right back in there, give him a good look. That's a catcher working for you.
There you go. Very creative back there. And with a nice sense of humor. That counts. Still 2-2 as Baez fouls that pitch away. And the count is full. Rizzo is on deck. Pitch in on Baez. Fastball. He fouls that one. Rays with a 4-run output of Jackson. And again a foul ball, so this got to be an extended at bat. The next pitch will be the 10th pitch of the at bat.
Baez putting up a little bit of a tussle here against Jake Odorizzi, trying to get something going for this Cubs team. 2 outs.
2 again. Line into left. Joyce back. Going to be over his head. One hops the wall. Baez heads into second with a double. His first double in the big leagues. He hit 3 home runs on the road before he made his home debut yesterday, and a double here, his 3rd time up today.
Well, a good battling at bat for Baez, and after fouling off 5 pitches, all you're looking for and hoping for is finally a mistake out over the plate and not wanting to walk him. It's exactly what Odorizzi gave him, a fastball that caught too much white up in the zone, and Baez smoked it.
Jim Hickey goes to the mound. The Rays start to get some action in the bullpen. 96 pitches for Odorizzi, 2 outs into the 6th. And a great pitch count through the front 4. Kirby Yates loosening up the right field line. A 21 pitch 5th inning for Odorizzi, and a couple of quick outs here in the 6th, but then he ran into the 10 pitch at bat for Baez. Anthony Rizzo. Pitch is fouled, strike 1. Rizzo doubled his first time up yesterday when he seemed to crush the ball that was against the wind and wound up hitting off the wall in right center. He went 1 for 5 yesterday, 0 for 2 today. And a good pitch right there. 0-2. Let's take a look at this as he had Rizzo out in front.
Watch it dip. That ball starts just above the knees, ends up at the ankles. That's that changeup. Much more consistent, a better weapon for Jake.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's always difficult when you learn a new pitch or pick up a new pitch during the course of the season or in spring training to have so much confidence in it and to be able to repeat your delivery with it enough to make it a consistent weapon. And that's something that Jake's first 2 pitches of the season were the changeup. He knew that he had confidence to throw it. How good was it going to be? Well, it's getting there in a big way.
Way high there. Fastball up.
Now there's change your eye level, and then there's, well, that pitch right there, almost to the backstop. If Molina doesn't get that glove up there.
Wrap-up game of the series tomorrow. Our coverage on Sun Sports begins at 1:30. The Rays will have Alex Cobb on the hill, opposed by left-hander Travis Wood. Rizzi working on Rizzo here with 2 outs and a man at second in the 6th inning. Into the dirt. He's gone to the 2 extremes here to Rizzo. One way high, and that pitch thrown into the dirt.
Yeah, and for most of the afternoon, Odorizzi has stayed away from these deep counts. 3-ball counts. Last couple of good at bat by Baez, resulting in a double. Now full count here to Rizzo.
Two, and Rizzo fouls this one. So both Baez and Rizzo with battling at bats as the pitch count mounts up over 100. Beliveau has joined Yates in the bullpen, and you can see Odorizzi here over 100 pitches, showing signs of fatigue and struggling a bit. Line drive right into the shift, and Zobrist makes the catch. So turns out to be a nice outcome in the 6th. A man left, and the Rays continue to lead 4-0. Beach here in Chicago. Plenty taking advantage of it. Temperature has been in the mid-70s. The sun out. And as promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to hashtag #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Lots of support here for the Rays. Rays colors and evidence throughout Wrigley Field and the Wrigleyville area. Kevin Kiermaier will lead off the 7th. Chris Rusin, the lefty, will be the new pitcher, making his 4th appearance.
Not a whole lot of big body of work right there. You see the ERA a little unsightly, 8.44, but that's just in 10 2/3 innings.
He was in 13 games, made 13 starts for them a year ago. And a bunt attempt, it's a strike. They went 2 and 6 for the Cubs with a .393 earned run average last year. Kiermaier behind 0-2.
And a little bit of an awkward swing off that delivery by Russ, and he will throw the fastball, cutter, slider. So he tries to sweep it more like a slurve, really. When you take a look at the break and the speed on it.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
And that's what this Cubs organization trying to do. Trying to find pitching to go along with all their young position player prospects.
Still a ball, 2 strikes to Kiermaier. And a cut and a miss. Kiermaier's out on strikes.
Drops that little 2-seamer down underneath the swing. I'll tell you, the Rays continue to stay single-minded of focus when they come into these games. Had the day off, had a stretch here with the Cubs and the Rangers coming up of 7 straight games against teams with losing records. They haven't had a whole lot of those this year. In fact, only one team.
How about that?
How about that? One team in Major League Baseball have played fewer games against teams with winning records, and that's the Houston Astros. So you've got to take advantage of these next, counting this one, 6 games, because then you go back home and the schedule gets difficult once again.
Jennings behind. A ball, 2 strikes. Two and 2. Full count. See the fastball, the cut fastball from this left-hander. Slider and a changeup. This one hit back into right. This is Ruggiano again, drifting as he got to the track, and a couple of steps from the wall, and the ivy makes the catch.
Ruggiano following this ball back, and at the last minute makes the spin and the catch right back at the scene of the crime where a blast off Zobrist got lost in that ivy. Ruggiano, the center of it all today.
Ben Zobrist with the bases empty and 2 outs. Ben has been on twice and has scored 2 of the 4 Rays runs. He doubled and scored in the 4th, walked and scored in the 6th inning, leading off those innings both times. It's 1-1. One and 2.
Ben Zobrist, over his last 13 games, he's 9 out of 14 hitting from this side of the plate. And on the season against left-handed pitching, 3rd in Major League Baseball in batting average.
Up the middle, through into center, another hit. for Ben Zobrist. On for the third time in this game. He continues the torrid hitting overall, but especially from the right side.
He just stays right back up the middle, a pitch that's away. Doesn't try to pull it. It was elevated so he could still hit it hard. It was a dive by Baez, but that ball able to sneak past him and into center field for a 2-out hit.
Bounce it back. Loney went 0 for 3 against Edwin Jackson. He had some good cuts against Jackson today, but nothing to show for it. Now he faces the lefty.
And I'll bet you that those are a couple of those at bats. James Loney probably not real happy with himself because he did have some good swings, but he had some mistake pitches out over the plate that he fouled off. And I guarantee you that he's thinking to himself, give those to me again, because those are balls I can drive.
Down to short. Castro steps on the bag. Braves are finished in the top of the 7th. They hold a 4-0 lead.
Basketball coach Digger.
Seventh inning. And a very good day and great start for Jake Odorizzi.
Well, looking to bounce back from a tough one his last time out against the Angels. He set the tone early. I'll tell you, he went out there, was aggressive with his Cubs lineup, but smart. And that was what made him so successful. Able to establish the fastball, move it around, mix in the changeup, throw up zeros, give his offense an opportunity to get into the flow of the game. They would eventually be able to figure out Edwin Jackson, take a 4-run lead. And Jake Odorizzi with a very good day, and just love the fact 6 strong innings, 3 hits, did not give up anything on the walk end to go along with 9 strikeouts. That's about as clean as you can get for Jake.
Well, 6 innings and only 1 man managed to reach second base off him today. And he'll turn it over to Kirby Yates in the 7th inning, making his 20th appearance. Castro leads off, and the first pitch is a strike call on a slider. Castro singled in the 4th. 1 ball, 1 strike. Indians beat the Yankees 3-0, and the Blue Jays in 10 beat the Tigers 3-2 today. High foul, out of play, back down the first base side.
And boy, it looks like Baltimore's having another huge day offensively.
They have 9 runs, 13 hits at home against the Cardinals. The Orioles batting in the bottom of the 7th, leading 9-3. I think Caleb Joseph hit another home run. How about that? He had hit home runs in his last 4 games, and he has hit one today. How about that? Joseph with his 8th of the year, 5 in 5 games.
Caleb Joseph. Yeah, this was the guy that Buck Showalter liked behind the plate as a defensive guy.
That's right.
But offensively, he tried to look to get Hundley involved because he thought he was a stronger hitter. And Caleb, well, that just shows you what's going on at Baltimore right now. 12 runs yesterday, 9 and counting today.
Yeah. And we talked about how hot the Rays have been and what the Orioles have done. When you look at the Rays record since July 11th, 32-17. The Orioles 34-18. And Caleb Joseph leading the charge this week. A nice slider took care of Castro on strikes, 1 away. The first pitch strike to Luis Valbuena. Two. Rays pitching had 11 strikeouts yesterday. They have 10 today. Out of play, slicing into the stands. How about this for Rays pitching? So far in this series, 21 strikeouts and 1 walk.
This is what gives you hope. You combine maybe not that good of pitching, but pitching along those lines, good defense, timely hitting, and you just continue to win ball games. But that is the height of efficiency. As many guys that has been involved in this series to go 21-1.
And here's another reason that you should never walk anybody. The 1 walk the Rays gave up, the Cubs turned it into a run in the 4th inning yesterday.
Was that on the errant throw to get him to second?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So don't make errors and don't lead no leadoff walks. You'll never give up a run.
A ball, 2 strikes, the count on the Cubs' third baseman.
It doesn't hurt if the wind is blowing in.
And that has certainly been the case today. Two. Mindry Alcantara is on deck. Valbuena at the plate. And he's out on strikes. Slider gets him. Strikeout number 11 on the day for the Rays staff. You love Star Wars night? We know. Enjoy the Star Wars festivities Saturday, August 30th, when the Rays take on the Red Sox. Get this special event ticket and receive a Rebel Pilot Will bobblehead. For tickets, use the Force and visit RaysBaseball.com/special events.
Was that an ad lib by you?
Oh, of course. Pitch is down.
Were you
Alcantara?
Well, A, B, or neither? Star Wars, Star Trek, or neither?
Nothing. Neither.
Neither?
Yeah. Foul ball right back into the screen. It's 1-1.
Well, that was a short discussion.
Yeah. That's what I thought. If you want to love it, great. It's fine. Wonderful thing to do. We're doing other things. It's a little wide. It's 2-1. How about you?
I was a Star Wars guy.
Really?
Right, yeah, growing up, that hit right at that age.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to this day, if I had to pick a favorite villain, it would have to be Darth Vader. Hands down.
The popper. Zobrist calling for it. He's got it. 7th inning is complete. The Rays hold this lead 4-0. Rays hold this 4-0 lead. Moving on to the 8th. Odorizzi for 6. Escobar 2 out of 3 with 3 runs batted in. Evan Longoria leads off the 8th. Chopper headed to short. Castro makes the throw to first. 1 pitch, 1 out. Let's check in with Todd Kalish. You've got something special.
Well, Dwayne, look, tomorrow, this is what the Rays are going to wear. Not their throwback, but their faux-back uniform. So this cap, look at the guy who designed these jerseys. Who's here watching a little baseball at Wrigley. That show's had it.
It's a little tight. I've got a big head.
I like the jersey.
My pride and joy.
Yeah, Stu designs all. You design all the throwbacks, right?
Oh, one of them. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go, guys. Tomorrow. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So we're now on 2. So the 88 Cubs uni in the other dugout, and this uni in the Rays dugout. Check it out. That's what the skipper will be wearing tomorrow. So we'll talk to Stu more tomorrow during the course of the game, but back up to you guys.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that. It's a throwback day tomorrow. And that look for the Rays.
I'll tell you, I like when they do that with the uniforms. I like that throwback. Love the hat. The hat is the coolest part of it.
Yeah, the cap looked pretty good.
It did.
It really looked nice. Forsythe batting here against the lefty. There you go. That's the jersey, and I think that cap's got a chance to be popular.
I will. I'll go down tomorrow, check in with the guys. Talk, a little shop, and swipe us a couple.
Lights going. 3-0 the count to Forsythe. There's the strike.
Has anybody determined what Todd's actually doing down there?
you know, Todd has had the Ferris Bueller day off day today. We had everything except a parade.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Look at this guy. He had a day off. Actually, he's had 3 days off.
Look, that is a good look. Yeah. Let's see him on the float now. Another pitch to be made to Forsythe.
So could I.
Tampa foul. Forsythe hitting .248. Batting in the place of Matt Joyce against the lefty. Out number 2. 2 up, 2 down in the 8th. Stu said he designed the jersey. Did he design the cap as well?
I mean, you would think one would go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody working very closely with you.
Yeah. Todd said we'll hear more about that tomorrow from Stu, so we'll have to clarify that. Ground ball short off the bat of Escobar. Castro throws him out from short. 1, 2, 3 in the 8th. Rays lead 4-0. Inning at Wrigley Field. America's new sports network is the place to turn before every slam, every goal, and every game with America's pregame only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Tune in to America's pregame weeknights at 6 p.m. Eastern Time only on Fox Sports 1. To find Fox Sports 1 on your cable or satellite provider, go to foxsports1.com. Logan Forsythe stays on to play second base after pinch hitting for Matt Joyce. And Ben Zobrist, who had been at second, moves into left. A little shift here in the bottom of the 8th. Justin Ruggiano leading off the home half of the inning for Chicago. Swing and the pitch is foul back.
This game's still just a 4-run lead here for the Rays. Kirby Yates on for his second inning of work. That could be a huge development. You think about Brad Boxberger pitching 2 innings in yesterday's game. Start to find different ways to protect that back end of the bullpen. And if you've got guys like Kirby Yates, Grant Balfour, that can go out there and give you multiple innings, that's a huge lift.
Lifted to the right side. Loney crossing into foul territory near the tarp with room. 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Arlington Castillo, the catcher, will be coming up. Ball. Rays have the shift on for the Cubs catcher. Here's Valleca on deck. Pinch hit next.
Lined up. And that was something that you would see the shift against left-handed hitters from time to time. Now you see it regularly from a lot of the teams in this league, most everybody, but right-handed hitters, you're starting to see it too.
2-2. Line drive, going to be caught by Forsythe, and a nice play.
Well, and you know, this is we're just going to talk about all the check with me's, because Logan Forsythe, who was a part of that shift, he moved back over to the second base side of second when it got to 2 strikes, and that's where you have these shifts. They're very well, it's a fluid situation, and you see Forsythe right there. Moves over, thinking maybe with 2 strikes, a guy goes the other way, a soft liner directly up the middle, and he's able to come over there and make that running catch.
Valleca pinch hitting for the pitcher.
That's the thing, short of having some sort of guide out there. You have those wristbands, like the quarterback wristbands. These shifts, and we've seen the Rays aggressive with them, number 1, but number 2, they will change in mid-count.
Two-strike count.
A lot of hitters will have different approaches depending on if they're ahead in the count, behind in the count. 2 strikes, maybe you'll look to go the other way. Up until then, you're a pull hitter. Those are always the things that you took into consideration as a pitcher. But now you're seeing the defense taking that into consideration. You say, hey, this guy pulls early in the count. He'll try to shoot you the other way late. That's how I'm going to pitch him. But now the defense is also playing him that way.
Oh, strike 3 call. Valleca out of there. 3rd strikeout for Yates. A dozen on the day for the Rays pitching staff. Into the ninth, coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. We'll anchor our coverage from here at Wrigley Field. We'll have Joe Madden's press conference, and Todd Callis will have interviews from the clubhouse. All of that part of our continuing coverage of Rays baseball and the Wrigley Field experience. Pitching change coming for the Chicago Cubs. Fujikawa becomes pitcher number 3.
Well, see what he's done in the minor leagues. 12 games, 2 of them starts. The ERA sterling at .77. Opponent's average has been good. And we will take a look here and see if it translates at the big league level. As you know, we talked earlier, the Cubs searching for pitching, trying to find out what they have going forward as they try to rebuild this roster, rebuild this team, and return it to relevance.
Well, he was just activated from the DL. He'd been in the recovery process from Tommy John surgery. Molina, the first man to face him, and he pops it up. A foul ball will be out of play. Molina 0 for 2 with a walk. Fujikawa pitched 3 days ago in the Colorado series, 1 scoreless inning. It's 12 years in Japan in the Central League. And check. It's 2-1. Jake McGee up in the Rays bullpen. Figueroa is on deck. Pitcher spot in the 8th spot. Currently occupied by Yates. Pop up. Rizzo to the stands, and that one is out of play. 2-2. Molina going to work Fujikawa for a hit, looking for his first of the day. Count's going to go full. Rays got all 4 of their runs, 3 earned off Edwin Jackson. 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Down to third, knocked down by Villabuena, and they throw in time. So that's the first out. Villabuena to Rizzo. 1 away. Alex Cobb will pitch tomorrow, and he certainly appears to have everything worked out over the last 4 starts.
Yeah, the numbers would bear that out. A 3-0 record, ERA of 1.71, as he is really starting to round into form. His last outing was not the smoothest, but I'll tell you what, that was up in Oakland against the A's, but he battled through. And sometimes those are the games that can do as much for your confidence as going out and throwing 7 shutout. So he'll look to keep it rolling as the Rays hopefully are going for a sweep.
Oh, Figueroa bats for Kirby Yates. Looks at a strike. 2 good innings for Yates. 2 scoreless innings, no hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts. It's 1-1. Rizzi 6, Yates for 2. Figueroa starts after it, but he pulls up in time. It's 2 balls and a strike.
I'll tell you, for a guy with limited playing time and limited opportunities, Figueroa, when he does get in there, he will put a good at bat on you. We've seen him work a number of walks in big spots for the Rays, extended at bats.
It's 3 balls and a strike.
You know that when you're not playing that much and you get out there, you want to swing the bat, you want to make something happen, do something, but he's able to stay disciplined in the strike zone to be able to work these at bats, and that's an impressive characteristic and trait.
Strike around the knees. He might have drawn one there, but the count goes full.
And what that will allow Joe Madden to do is just another guy on the bench that he can go to in a big spot and know that he's going to battle during the course of an at-bat.
Yeah, you want quality at-bats.
Yep.
You don't have to get a hit. You draw a walk, you stay within your zone. Ground ball to first. Rizzo unassisted. 2 ground ball outs served up by Fujikawa. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Tampa Bay Rays. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Rays. Kevin Kiermaier 0 for 3. Alcantara made a very good play on the ball he hit to center in the 3rd. There's ball 1. We're in the top of the 9th. The Rays have a 4-run lead. Orioles lead the Cardinals 10-3 in Baltimore, with St. Louis now hitting in the top of the 9th. Popper shallow center. Castro out from shortstop, and the Rays are up and down 1-2-3. Bottom of the 9th. Cubs will have the top of the order coming up. 4-0 Rays. 0-0 lead. Trying to make it 2 straight over the Cubs. After winning yesterday's game 4-3, Jake McGee goes to the mound here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Well, not a save situation, but an important game nonetheless. And Jake McGee comes on for the 56th time. You see he's 12 out of 13 in that category. 67 strikeouts in 51 innings. It's just been a stellar year for Jake McGee. So consistent, so predictable at what he does, but he does it so well. Most times it doesn't matter.
We'll be dealing with the top of the lineup for Chicago. The only Cub runner to advance beyond first base was Javier Baez, who doubled in the 6th. Fielded second in this inning. Coughlin, Baez, and Rizzo due up. First pitch is a strike. Fastball at 95.
Coughlin singled off Jake McGee in yesterday's ball game. That ball got by Kiermaier out in right field, and he got to second base, and he's stranded there.
0-2, 96 on the second delivery.
Jake McGee getting the jump here. That damage he's done against lefties pretty impressive. Coughlin able to stay in on left-handed pitching better than most.
Stays alive there. 2 strikes. Started the day 3 under 500 at 56 and 59. Now a ball, 2 strikes. The right side beyond the bullpen and a couple of rows into the stands. Fouled the opposite way. And out of play.
Coughlin battling Jake McGee quite well. Except base hit last night. He was well struck, and he's done a nice job staying on the fastball here, even fouling off the curveball that Jake went to.
He's 0 for 3 today. Had 1 hit yesterday, but has looked good at the plate. And we talked about that. When he's healthy, he gives you a good at bat up there. Former National League Rookie of the Year. Baez on deck.
For almost the last month and a half, he's been swinging the bat well.
And a foul tip. He's still alive.
Well, trying to keep his streak going. He's reached base safely in 10 straight games. And he is able just to get a piece of that. It rattles around in the glove of Molina and falls out just enough.
And with that, the count goes full. 3-2. How about this? 10 pitch at bats so far. And strike 3 call. Coughlin on the 11th pitch of the at bat. Not happy with Tom Hallion. And the Rays pick up the first out in the bottom of the 9th inning. 11 pitches and a called third strike.
Well, it was a great battle by Coughlin. Here's the pitch, 97. Close enough.
"13 strikeouts for Rays pitching today." Baez, the pitch is a strike. It's low, 1-1. McGee pitched the 8th inning in yesterday's game. Struck out Baez, got ahead of him 1-2 and got him on a fastball up. This fastball is fouled. It's 1-2. The Rays staff has 12 shutouts this year. And 1 out into the 9th, they have kept the Cubs off the board, leading 4-0. And that ends the at bat for Baez. Again, 97, and he is out on strikes.
A little easier go of it here for McGee against Baez as he gets him to expand that zone. 97, but you're trying to chase that pitch off the plate 4 to 6 inches. It's hard enough to hit when it's on the plate. That makes it the degree of difficulty go up a little bit more, and Baez not able to do anything with it. Comes down to their last out.
Anthony Rizzo, pitch inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Strike. It's 1-1. Well, a nice bounce back performance by Jake Odorizzi after Sunday's abbreviated start against the Angels. 6 innings for Odorizzi, 2 for Yates, and McGee on in the 9th, and he's ahead of Rizzo. A ball, 2 strikes. Fouls it. So keeps the game going. McGee's 1-2 pitch to Rizzo. Back at McGee, deflects to the right side of the infield, and Rizzo is aboard. That one back to the mound. Molina out to make sure Jake is all right.
Well, he certainly looks to be, and Jake kind of telling everybody, look, I'm fine. Let's get back to work. This ball away, and he catches Jake, looks like right on that right calf, and where it deflects, there is nobody out with the shift being deployed. Yeah, right up there in the meat of the calf. I'll tell you, if you're going to get hit down low like that, that is the place to be hit.
So Rizzo has a base hit number 4 for Chicago. Starlin Castro now the shortstop. He lines a base hit into left, and with 2 outs, 2 men are on base. Two out. And for the second time today, the Cubs have a man as far as second base. They had Baez at second with 2 outs in the 6th. Now with 2 outs, Rizzo's at second with Castro at first.
And the sense of urgency goes up here in this at-bat with Valbuena, because the last thing that you want is a potential tying run coming to the plate. So get it here.
Valbuena 0 for 3 today. And the first pitch is a strike. Now 1 ball, 1 strike. Orioles beat the Cardinals 10-3. Foul back. Now to play it goes, and the count moves to 1-2 on Valbuena. Will take care of business. Valbuena out on strikes, and the Rays have beaten the Chicago Cubs 4-0. McGee with 3 strikeouts in the 9th for the Cubs. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left on base in the 9th. Here's the final pitch of the game. He tried to check and could not. So 3